welcome back to the United by Football podcast, live here from the Bella Vista Hotel. I'm Abs. Tom, you're looking a bit different this week.
Yeah, look, I didn't have time to do my makeup today, so I couldn't help it.
Mate, introduce yourself.
My name's Martin. As you can probably tell, proud Liverpool fan. What else is there? No. In my day to day, I work in IT, but been playing football since I was 5 years old. 5 years old, and haven't stopped since.
Mate, you could kick a ball before you could run. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My mum and dad, they'll agree with that one.
He was born with a football in his hands in 1999, and he hasn't let go of that football ever since. But yeah, I hear you've got something called a football addiction as well.
Yeah, look, I think some say it's a football addiction, or some may refer to the extra two on a bench of five.
Oh, mate, some could call it the bench seven.
Some could call it that as well.
But look, it's been a big week in football this week. I think Arsenal, big winners. We'll start off there, 6-0.
Wow,
biggest ever Premier League away win.
And you know what? For Arsenal, I didn't think that they could be a team to wipe out West Ham over 5 goals. So, 100%.
Fair play. Look, I think considering they're top 8 team as well, they're sitting 7th. I'm pretty sure.
Are they?
I think so, yeah.
No, you're joking.
No.
You're taking the piss.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I think they're top 8 for sure. I'm pretty sure they were 7th. Pretty sure them, Brighton and United were 6, 7 and 8, if I remember correctly. But
I'm just trying to think. There is a bit of a point. There's a point gap between 6th and 7th.
No, it's between 5th and 6th.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of Tottenham, Villa, then United on their own, and then the rest of the teams. But look, despite a few misplaced balls at the start with Kivior, West Ham had a few attacks there. They couldn't really get into the box. I think there was once where Kudus took the ball off Kivior, got there, Gabriel got there before him, and before you know it, a sea of yellow and black jerseys made their way back, and we won the ball back. But yeah, they just dominated and gradually just broke them down bit by bit. Stat was 10 shots on goal prior to the first goal being scored by William Saliba, and he scored in the 32nd minute. We were averaging like a shot every 3 minutes before that.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. Wait, where's that button?
Oh, here it is. Go for it.
You know what? That's awesome. All right, sweet.
But yeah, as time went on, you know, the domination continued. We finished on 25 shots, 5 on target, 70% possession, at 3.56 XG to 0.22 for West Ham. And for the second game running, we only conceded the 1 shot on target all game.
Fair. But this bloke and his bloody XG, I watched the episode last week with Claude, and you know what? I have to side with him on it. I don't know what it is. XG just does not faze me, but I can tell you love it.
I love it.
And for the years that I've known you, you've literally...
I'm an XG merchant.
Yeah.
Oh. Look, it tells you whether your team's been good, whether it's not, whether they've been lucky, whether they should have finished more. More so this season with us, we should have finished a lot of our chances that we just haven't. And it, like, even with not just goals scored, goals conceded. Like, for example, Alisson, it tells you that I think he's prevented 7 goals, 7 XG conceded.
Yeah.
Considering what he should have actually conceded, compared to like Raya, for example, who's only, I think, stopped 1 extra than he should have. So it gives you a bit of a read into an actual performance rather than just, looking at, shots on goal, possession, and so on and so on.
No, that's fair. And reason you're my mate, you're the XG merchant, because
we're only friends because I know XG.
Yeah, that's right. Just purely use and abuse. Yeah. Go for it.
But yeah, look, Declan Rice, I have to say, man of the match worthy performance. He didn't get it. Saka got it. 1 goal, 2 assists against the Old Firm. I have to say, his ability now to hold down that 6th position by himself, what Mikel's been able to do with him, is crazy. It's absolutely insane. And he's become a set piece taker as well.
Yeah, no, it shows a lot. He has been probably like you. And I'm pretty sure I'm quoting you on this. You would pay an extra 200 million for him.
I would go back to West Ham, say, sorry, we've robbed you for 105. Here's another 210. now we feel like we've paid fair value. But I think, yeah, look, at the end of the day, he's transformed into the complete midfielder for me. Like that goal he scored, Odegaard and Trossard both left. They just...
Yeah, no, he has been extraordinary, and not just this game, but the whole season as well.
Yeah.
So
is, I
doing
believe,
fantastic.
I think at one stage of the season, he himself won us about 11 or 12 points.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Honestly,
From a DM.
DM,
Yeah.
yes.
Bit of run through. Saka scored a double. Saliba and Gabriel also sealed the game with a couple of power headers off the right set pieces. And that takes us to 16 set piece goals for the year. 16.
16.
Nicolas Jove, mate. I have to say, we've brought him in from Man City, and he has absolutely transformed our set. Like, we've become a team now where even if you sit back against us for 90 minutes of the game, we'll get you somehow. Whether it's a set piece, whether even, this week where I noticed that the front four was rotating. West Ham didn't know who to mark. Martinelli was shifting into the centre. Havertz was often drifting off to the left, or Havertz would alternate with Trossard down the middle. You'd find Saka often drifting into midfield.
Yeah.
Ben White inverted this week.
Yeah, I did say that.
And Kivior became that third centre-back. So they kind of switched roles where Kivior would overlap, and then Ben White was able to kind of drift into midfield, where he did play a full season for Leeds. People do forget Ben White spent, I think it was the year that they won it with Bielsa in the Championship. He played DM for 45 games or whatever it is that season. And they won the Championship down there. So I think Mikel's beginning to find his... You could call it his groove with this team now. We're becoming a lot more unpredictable to beat. And as we saw last week with the Liverpool-Arsenal game.
Yeah, yeah. But also, I do want to touch on, because even though we did play in both teams, had players missing out. But do you feel like, in comparison to teams, and we can both say in comparison to City, depth?
I think we've got better depth. I think we've got the best depth of the three.
You've got the best depth of the three.
Yeah.
And are you just saying that because of the last few weeks, because you've had quite a few out?
Yeah, well, we've had Tomiyasu, Timber, Partey, Smith Rowe, Vieira, Zinchenko, Jorginho, and Jesus all out, whether it was this week or next week. On top of that, we've already got a rotation in midfield with versatility. Havertz can play there now. Trossard can play there. You've got, like I've said, Vieira, Partey, Smith Rowe, and Jorginho, all that play in midfield. So can you imagine when we're fully fit? You've got the options of Rice, you've got Odegaard, you've got Vieira, you've got Partey. Like, that's just the four. On top of that, Smith Rowe can come in. Trossard, Havertz, up front, there's rotation. The only position I'd say was Shorting is right wing, because he likes to play everybody that can play on the right, on the left for some odd reason. You got Nelson that plays on the left. Nwaneri came in this week. He looked really good. 16.
Yeah.
He's not even 17 yet.
Yeah, okay. So now I'm just basing it off a time or end of last season where the struggle hit, and I had never seen you so defeated.
Oh yeah, mind you, last season, Martin could tell you, I stayed back and I kept my mouth shut for like 27 rounds of that season.
And then from 27 to 30, it was buzzing.
I'm like, I think we've done it. And then
how the mighty have fallen.
Started at Anfield, and it finished with me crying on the floor. So,
But I wanted to ask this. Now, experiencing that last season, and with the depth that you guys have, do you think that situation cannot happen again?
I don't think it's possible if everyone stays fit, because our liabilities last year came in the fact that we didn't have a suitable replacement for Partey.
Yeah.
We didn't have a suitable replacement for Saliba.
Yeah.
What we've done this season is, obviously Jorginho came in midway through, but Jorginho isn't suitable and can't play every game.
Yeah.
So we've got Declan Rice. Saliba goes out injured.
So you're safely
midfield, I think we're fairly good covered. Even if Odegaard gets injured, you got your Vieiras, you got your Smith Rowes who could play there. Havertz has shown that when Odegaard was out, he was able to play in that right midfield role. Smith Rowe can play in the left.
But every position?
Yes, I do think so. I think even at striker, it's called the versatility in this team.
Yeah.
Is allowing us to have that depth. So Zinchenko's out. You now have Tomiyasu, Kivior, and Timber that can all play there. That's considering they're all fit. Right now, they're not fit. Everyone on that list is very close to coming back.
Yeah.
You look at right back. Ben White can play there. Tomiyasu can play there. You ever need B, Gabriel can also play left back. You know, we've got a lot of these fullbacks that can play midfield too. Tomiyasu is able to play centre back. Kiwior is able to both play left back and centre. Like, there's depth now. And there's quality in depth and there's versatility. So if one's out, we're never thin. Mohamed Oneni.
Oh, yeah.
He's able to come in and do a job. Like, you know, all jokes aside, nothing compared to him and Rodri and all of that. But there's at least bodies. You know, when it comes to the Champions League, you're going to Porto. If you've won that first leg 4-0, 5-0, you can go and play a Vieira and El Neni midfield. You're able to kind of switch up and just, you know, strength. What's the word? Flex your muscles with the squad. I think that's probably the best way to explain it. You know, and when Yeri, like I said, 16 and I think he turned 17 in March, but he showed the poise of a Premier League player. He got just under half an hour, I believe.
And then, you know what, it starts off from there, and then before you know it, they consistently get more minutes. And if it's a bit like I can sort of compare with a Harvey Elliott and like going into and seeing them, because the youngsters, watching youngsters in the Prem, it's always that extra bit interesting for me, because they bring that flair out. Then it's the creativity. They want to prove a point in that starting 11. So that's why I think it brings that extra interest.
Yeah, and I think for me, watching Ranieri come onto the field, he's got, like I said, I think it's the poise, and he knew what to do. So it shows you that there's trust with him and the team, and vice versa. And Mikel said in the interview post-game, the players were whispering to him, bring Ethan on. It's 5-0, 6-0, whatever it was. Bring him on. He came on, and the boys just kept passing to him. And it was nice to see. And I don't think, you know, aside from a few years ago with Saka and Smith Rowe coming in and Martinelli coming in as an 18-year-old, we haven't necessarily been a club that, you know, have plenty of 16, 17-year-olds flying around. Even Man City, to a degree, have that. Foden, Bob, Palmer, Rico Lewis coming in last season. You see it even with you guys.
Yeah, no, it's very tough, especially being young and fitting in, because then managers also feel like that they're taking a bit of a risk. Like, well, we know what Pep, he's come out and said he's not sacrificing any minutes for that, but that brings up a whole nother thing.
But but it also shows that at the end of the day, there's games where you can, and I think Pep knows that too. Like, he won't bring on Oscar Bob every game.
Yeah. When you you guys up 6-0 against West Ham, what do you think? Was it 6-0 at that point, or was it?
I think when he came on, it was 6. Honestly, that game could have finished 7 or 8.
Yeah, it should have been a bit more.
But like, I could tell, like, even Havertz was like doing elasticos and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm like, this
taking the piss Sunday league. That's what it is.
I have to ask, before I get on to West Ham, have Arsenal found their groove?
I think the game last week against us really did help you, and it's one of those ones where. It's funny because I'm not too. I wasn't gutted, or I wasn't too upset about the performance, which I should be, right? But then after mistakes happen, like how the game was, and mind you, my brother's an Arsenal fan, so I can sort of say that from what it was a few years ago, you can see that it's definitely a different Arsenal that's playing from a few years ago. So you guys have got that confidence,
even last season.
It showed, and I think what it was is you're playing at the Emirates, you want to be picking up all 3 points.
Yeah, like we've played City and Liverpool at the Emirates and conceded 1 shot on target in each game. And I think it's correct in what you're saying. We've developed much more of a spine this year than we did last year. I think even defensively, we've now got the best defensive record in the league. So yeah, look, I do kind of, you know, I think we're better. We're not as pretty as last year, but my God, like, we've become a set, like, again, you can kill me on social media for this, but I think one of the best set piece teams in all of Europe, in corners and free kicks. To be able to score 16 of our 53 goals this season in the Premier League through set pieces.
You know, I'm waiting for him to bring up a stat, how he's just going to tell us what minute every goal's happened in, because he's probably just...
Well, we scored 4 and 14 between the 32nd and the 46th minute on...
Oh, and what second?
I wouldn't be able to tell you what second, but I could tell you the minutes. But look, all in all, I also think that Bukayo Saka's had a great season. 24 goals and assists in 30 games. People have been criticising him. He may not have had his, you know, out there season this season.
Yeah.
But numbers-wise, he's doing better than last year. And he's clearly showing that his output remains despite the quality dropping in performance a little bit.
Well, we also got the Euros coming up as well. So, to be honest, he's still selection worthy. So, I don't think if people want to criticize, I think it's just being that extra particular.
Yep.
And whether or not they could turn it up on the park as well. But it's Saka, I think he needs to be playing with that, he is, but he continue playing with that confidence that he has, and it shows. Like when a player is so free in his mind, he's able to just play
do what he needs to do
and do what he needs to do and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I wouldn't doubt it. And imagine when he actually starts picking up his confidence again and starts playing with, on form, if you want to call it that. God help the Premier League. So
then he'll be scoring 100% of penalties.
Mate, we don't talk about that, mate. We don't talk about that. Before we move on from this game,
yeah, all good, mate.
2 questions. Where did it all go wrong for West Ham? Because they're now 7 games without a win. For me, it looked like a very bad day at the office because, like, you could argue 2 ways because the marking was horrible. Some of the the decisions that the defenders were making, committing, positioning, so on and so on, was terrible. But at the same time, you look at the way Arsenal played. They didn't give them, a time to think who was playing where. You'd find Martinelli drifting down the middle. He was hugging Saka down the right side sometimes. Trossard was going into certain pockets. At one point, Ben White inverted. We found Trossard on the right, Saka basically playing like a cam roll, and Havertz was up front. Like, you just could not figure out who you were marking.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a bit of both, or do you think that this was coming, considering their record?
Their record, I think when you're a team and you've got a losing streak, it's sort of hard to get out of. But then when you're facing a team who's neck and neck at the top of the league, it sort of just makes it harder and mentally challenging. Yeah. So for these guys, I could imagine that the David Moyes might be putting in a chat saying, "Hey guys, play out everything, do the best. You got the ability." In the end, they're not a shit team. They're highly placed. In the top half, missing out on and they're in the Europa League as well. So they're not a shit team, but I think just the fact that Arsenal at the Emirates, it might have just been a bit of a mess in the club or in the squad for the day.
No, it was at West Ham Stadium.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Mate.
Yeah. Well, but then again, Arsenal being Arsenal is just, it doesn't change. It doesn't change too much. They're just.
It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is David Moyes in trouble? You got to ask yourself. He's won them a Conference League. He's finished in the top half of the table. I think top 7 the last 3 seasons, right, one after the other. But at the same time, you look at where the club is now, and if it continues down this hole that it's falling, would you say that, does he need to be replaced? Or, you've sold your Declan Rice's, Jared Bowen's, he's becoming a bigger star year by year. There's every chance someone picks him up. Even the squad, like the squad itself, Mavropanos was a good signing, but at the end of the day, is that the trajectory they're going, or is that just kind of, all right, let's sit at 7th or 8th, and if shit goes wrong, they just...
To be honest, I think they're just that 7/8 club. That top 6 now is, well, there is now a top 6 and there's a gap. So they might be best of the rest, but the quality of the top 6 now, and even we're slowly seeing it with Villa, slowly dropping down. Like the Champions League places look like they're happening anymore. Yeah. So it's just that odd. It's just such an extreme scoreline for a 7th place.
It is
team.
I mean, 7-0 happened a few years ago. To be fair, if you remember the 7-0 Manchester United Liverpool game,
mate, I will never forget that. But me and you were lucky to be where they were at that point, and they were in a mess. That squad that played that game, relegation, mate.
Eric Seven Hag, mate. Eric Seven Hag. Look, so effectively, yes or no? Does he make it through the season?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
After years, I don't know.
Oh, we'll see how he starts next season. Then I think the answer to that is
Yeah.
On to Liverpool Burnley, 3-1 victory. Jota, Diaz, and the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Darwin Núñez.
And yes, I made sure he said the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Darwin Núñez. And as your original guest first said, he's not the best goal scorer. He's not the greatest goal scorer. He's a scorer of great goals. And you know what? I back it 100%. Who's cracking the post 4 times in one game?
Mate.
Mr. Darwin Núñez.
That is a direct quote from Mr. Kevin KG George.
100%.
2 assists from Elliott, 1 from Trent, 71% possession, 25 shots with 10 on target, but an XG of 2.86 for the game. So 25 shots, and realistically, 3 of those should have went in. 3 of those did go in, but you'd think it's a bit frustrating considering you're taking that many shots
Yeah.
against Burnley.
Yeah. It's honestly, it wasn't that. It was good to get 3 points,
Yeah.
and I knew it was in the bag.
Yeah.
But like even then, that game was at the same time as the Asian Cup final. So,
Yeah.
so I, as a fan, I then tuned into the Asian Cup final, but then I had the confidence.
In your team.
in my team, and
Yeah.
then I just rewatched the whole game the next morning. But it was a bit frustrating. 25 shots, 10 goals, it's 10 shots on target, and what? Only three goals.
Yeah.
And realistically, had Harvey Elliott not come on and
I mean, a
replace
1-1
Trent,
draw, mate.
but Trent got the first assist and then he came off.
Yeah, I'm like, I think he needs a bit of a rest. I personally think I'm starting to see a bit of fatigue since he's come back from injury. I think he could do with a bit of layoff, but again, I think your squad's fairly thin.
But we're missing Connor Bradley, and it's frustrating because the man's in his form of his life. He's so young.
It's unfortunate.
Unfortunate
Yeah.
in the situation, and I think everyone's handled that pretty well, considering how some fans could be.
Yeah. And look, prayers out to him and his family as well.
Yeah.
with his situation with his dad. But yeah, he was in the form of his life. You know, you didn't feel the absence of Trent for that month that he was away.
We didn't feel it at all.
And look, another return that happened though was Endo. I think he looked very comfortable in the middle.
Oh, you know what? I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable knowing that my Japanese man was back.
Yeah.
It was that sense of relief for me watching it.
Yeah.
And right before he left, he was in the form of his life as well. He was honestly replaced Fabinho when he was at his best, and that was what we were missing. And for that replacement of a number 3 jersey that Liverpool had,
Yeah.
bargain hunter.
See, I agree, and I think it took him a good, for me, 6 to 7 game weeks to kind of warm himself into the team and find his position and his kind of, his spot, getting used to the system, trying to figure out. And I think Klopp changed the system halfway through. I think Trent only started coming into midfield about 9 or 10 game weeks in, if I remember correctly.
Something. It was something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
For me, that helped Endo a lot because it basically allowed Endo to kind of push a bit higher up the field and Trent to almost play that, this makes no sense, but a deep-lying box-to-box role. Literally from right back to the box, but also sit there behind Endo. And it was a good combination.
It sounds like you're trying to talk left defensive striker here, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Mate, he was scoring goals, he was assisting, he was making tackles, but his ability to invert's like no other at the end of the day. So, Salah should return over the next week.
Oh, next week. Oh, I cannot wait. But funny enough, I just want to see him play. But it's not that I'm concerned. I haven't been concerned for the past month.
Yeah.
The combination of Jota, Diaz, Gakpo, my goat, Darwin Núñez.
I've said it before. I think the fact that Salah's not there has helped him dearly.
Well, assists and whatnot. And the best way I can put it, he's doing Firmino's job with more goals.
Yeah,
same amount. Don't quote me on the stats, but it just feels more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, he gives you the nerves. Like when he came on against Arsenal, I was a bit worried because he's chaotic. He is Mr. Chaos himself.
100%.
But look, all in all, I'm going to ask one question.
Okay.
And I think, yes, they are. Are Liverpool running out of steam? Are they just getting by now?
Nah. No.
You don't think the fact that last week they came up against a quality opponent and we saw, okay, you could catch this Liverpool team if you come and perform on the day? Similar to how we were in December, how Arsenal were in December, where they weren't finishing their chances. But if you could finish, hit 1 or 2 goals in a day and sit back, you might have gotten them because of the form that they were in.
But I also think that game and our 2 losses this season, the first one being Spurs, that game is a mess of its own.
Yeah.
But the one against you guys last week, I think it's one of those ones where the first half ended one way and we weren't out of it. But then I guess when mistakes happen like they did, it's sort of hard to just get over it, and especially when you're in a game like that, the pressures and whatnot. So, considering we hadn't had much or more other losses, we've been in great form. I just don't think we're running out of steam. I just think on that day, everything bad that could happen happened.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree in that sense. I also think that, like I said, there was a sense of you played a quality team that punished you in that first half. They couldn't finish, like that being Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't finish their chances. Then I think the Burnley game was another example for me of if it were a better team, they could have finished those chances. O'Shea scored.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then they were talking Vincent Kompany's Burnley. We're not talking Pep Guardiola's Man City. And you guys do play City soon. So
that will be, you know what? You asked me that same question around that time, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Quick run through results. Speaking of the devil, Man City beat Everton 2-0. Haaland back on the score sheet.
Haaland.
That came from City. It's like his dad, mate.
Well, the FPL, thank God, I'll take it. He's my captain, so it was good to see.
I captained De Bruyne. I'm just happy he got an assist. Freaking, I should have. I had it on Saka. I changed the last minute. He ended up on freaking 13 points.
Unlucky.
It's all right. Look, United beat Villa. The other Højlund makes it 5 goals in 5 games.
Yeah, I did see that, and it's funny because the perception of Man U has changed so much.
Yeah.
Since recent weeks.
Yeah, it's because they're playing. I just think that they're playing a bit more freely.
Yeah. Now,
and Højlund's finding his form. He's just, he's not scoring spectacular goals. He's just, they're getting by. They're getting there.
He's just doing what he needs to be doing.
Yeah. I still, like we said, I've always said there's a lot of work to happen at that club. But, it's good to see that. My personal feelings aside about United, I hate seeing youngsters fall and go to waste in that sense because, you look at your Sanchos, you look at, Højlund, you could tell he's such a pure, he's a raw talent. Yeah. And even as a person, you don't want to see their confidence go. And I've seen it enough with players at Chelsea. Your Werners, your Havertz, they came in firing from the Bundesliga, and that club just killed their confidence.
Yeah.
And the last thing you need is to go, to a place of, anywhere, place of work. You lose your confidence. You don't enjoy doing what you're doing again. And sometimes you might need to, move to a different club that shows you
your value.
Yeah. And that's what we've seen with Havertz, for example, at Arsenal. But yeah, no, I hope he does well. Tottenham versus Brighton, Fergie time special, Brennan Johnson in the 96th minute. Chelsea versus Palace, what happened this morning, mate?
Ice cold Palmer, and in memory of Tom, ice cold Palmer delivered 2 assists.
Mate, 2 assists, Conor Gallagher with 2 goals, and Jefferson Lerma. Wow.
Talk to me about it. What happened?
In FIFA, when you've just cut in off the left and you just smack a finesse shot from Yonkers away?
So that.
Literally that. And the keeper, though, just could not. No one was saving that. It was a beautiful shot. But, yeah. But no, ice cold Palmer, mate. Tom, mate. We made sure, you might not be here this week, but we definitely made sure that ice cold Palmer gets his,
and don't worry, I'm happy because FPL, he done well.
Hey, me too. I got him my FPL as well.
Yeah.
But I think ice cold Palmer is a staple on this show. So whenever he scores or assists, we let everyone know.
You need to drop some music like
ice cold Palmer.
Yeah.
onto the most exciting game of the week, the Asian Cup final. Before we get onto anything, Qatari winger Hafif,
Afif.
scored 3 penalties that game. With all due respect to Jordan and all due respect to Qatar, those first 2 penalties were very savable.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
I'm not even going to go to the lengths of, if you put me in goal, I'll save them. Had it been like a Matty Ryan or even a Suzuki,
Yeah, 100%. It would have been saved, and it's for me. It was a frustrating final to watch.
yeah,
It's hard, and I think Jordan had the best goal of the game.
oh yeah, the way he was,
But it's not that hard to beat.
yeah,
That's the worst part.
yeah,
So, look, I'd say it's a very anticlimactic game. Yeah, like you said, the penalties very savable. They weren't even top quality penalties. I can tell Afif just focused on the celebrations. With yeah,
Nah, look, I know, and even the keeper, he tried to do this thing where you stand to one side and like, oh, come this way. He then shifted. You're doing the right thing. You shift back to the middle
and flat-footed.
fly to the other side. He flat-footed.
Yeah,
We were watching the game together.
we were,
I could not believe my eyes.
brother.
Oh, dear Lord, mate. Antics. He couldn't even get the antics right. Forget the tactics. He couldn't get the antics right, mate. Anyway.
But what I want to bring up, right? This Asian Cup. Let's just say every week on this pod, I've listened to you and Tom talk about teams that are gonna do well, and
They've been knocked out the week after.
yes,
Every team
you
I've
guys
said is going to win it.
have properly jinxed them. But also, I'm noticing a trend. So if it happens with everybody, it's not like there's bad juju on one team. It's everyone.
Yeah.
So the teams, let's just say we had 12 months ago in the World Cup in Qatar.
In Qatar, yeah.
There were 6 Asian teams.
Yeah.
Iran, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar.
Yeah.
Now, how does the worst performing team
Win the whole Asian Cup.
win the whole Asian Cup?
I can give you the logical answer or I can give you the straight up answer.
I want both.
The logical answer is that a lot of these countries do well in the World Cup, and I've said it since day one when we started talking about it. These countries know how to be the hunters, okay?
Yeah.
They don't know how to be the hunted. Japan do well against Germany and Spain because they're able to just play how they want to.
Because the pressure's on
Germany and on Spain.
Yeah.
They can go out and play with all the heart and the soul and the counter attacks that they want to. Okay. Same with Australia. Australia are at their best. They almost beat Argentina.
Yeah.
Just sitting back and hitting on the counter. And as we saw, their best game of the tournament was against South Korea. And why is that? Because South Korea took the responsibility of being the dominant team. Saudi Arabia obviously got 1 win at the World Cup. It was against Argentina.
Iconic.
Iconic win. We all thought it was over for Messi. But the logical answer is it's very much easier being the hunter than the hunted. You look at Syria, Jordan, Qatar, even in this World Cup, watching teams like Palestine.
Asian Cup.
The Asian Cup,
Yeah.
sorry. It's the second time on this podcast I've called it the World Cup. All of these, let's just call them second string Asian Cup teams,
Yeah.
done well because they were able to just go at teams. Syria quite literally could have beaten Australia without a clinical finisher. You look at Iraq.
Yeah.
Iraq's the prime example. Iraq came into that, just literally played how they wanted to.
Yeah. And
Right.
I think
They got unlucky.
Claude said it last week,
Yeah.
that the Asian Cup, it's such a variety in terms of the way the game's played.
Yeah.
So your Middle Eastern teams are very rush and send it,
Yeah.
and then the Asian teams are more try and do something with a bit more technical, try and go about it the
Yeah.
proper footballing way.
The amount of attempted Cruyff turns I saw from that Jordanian team was freaking killing me, man. It's like just pass it normally. We don't need a triple flip flap black block freaking back heel coming back.
Wait, it was like we're at Ultimate.
Yeah.
In Fairfield.
Fairfield.
100%.
Yeah. I just needed to make sure I wasn't there, mate. I was in Bankstown. I'm close enough, but like, nah. Look, all jokes aside, congratulations, Qatar. The penalties were penalties. You took them, you scored them, you done what you needed to do. You won that game. Although I think that, it's a bit, it's a bit generous considering they're the home team.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see someone else win it.
Well, if I just touch on Jordan, in that game, they had more possession.
Yeah.
Their shots was the factor that let them down. 16 and 6 on target.
Composure, lads.
Composure. Yeah. Whereas Qatar, 8 shots, 7 on target, 3 being pens.
Yeah.
So a lot of wasted chances. It would have been great to see them, especially because they were never in contention to get this far.
I think from an Aussie perspective, I think what let us down is like even had South Korea or Japan made it to the final, you felt like there was a community within here.
Yes.
That you could have very much, involved yourself in a sense. Like we pretty much said that, had South Korea won, we were going down to Litcombe or somewhere to watch the game with South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even, Iraq get through. Fairfield's going off.
100%.
Like it's you look at Qatar and Jordan, I'm like I don't feel, connected to this game. Despite me being Middle Eastern, I just didn't feel connected to that game. And like I said, the 87,000 Qataris that were in attendance watched the most anticlimactic final that we could have ever had.
And I think that's the word that I can only use to summarize it, because that's how I felt throughout the whole 90 minutes. Honestly, I made an effort to watch the game at the same time as the Liverpool game. I made an effort to watch that, and I was like, I'm tempted to just
switch it.
Just
go to sleep. Like straight out, I was ready to just go home.
It was like 2, 3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, like I said, congratulations to Qatar. Not taking anything away from that. It's just, it's an overall look on the tournament, and I think more so an analysis on the teams that had participated. And it's more so a disappointment on those teams than it is Qatar and Jordan. I think at the end of the day, it's probably the best way to put it. Being disappointed in those six or seven powerhouses in this competition, considering that, like you said, Qatar, the worst performing team in the World Cup, and Jordan, who haven't even reached the World Cup, were able to play out a final.
Yeah. And have the shots, have possession, and still not be able to win it. Shows effort on Qatar for being clinical, because they were. That was the only upside that they had.
Yeah.
But my point is, considering in 12 months, right? So like I said, the World Cup in Qatar 12 months ago, and the Asian Cup now, it changed so much. It has changed so much.
No, it has. It has. And like I said, it's the pressure.
So just the pressure from hunted.
Makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, right.
It makes the biggest difference. Like I said, when you're kind of able to face that pressure, and like Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool can have 80% of the ball and still score 4 goals. Australia struggled. They played India. India.
Yeah, I know. It was frustrating. Yeah.
Syria, they struggled. South Korea, they played well. Why? Because South Korea were like, don't worry, give me the ball. I'll play possession with it.
Well, yeah. You look at the caliber of players that are in that South Korean squad anyway. So yeah.
Look, I want to touch on the other final that happened 2 mornings after, which was the AFCON final.
Ah, yes.
So for all those that, I'm sure a lot of you didn't watch the game, running quick through it. So Nigeria looked to repeat the 1-0 victory they had in the group stage against the Ivory Coast. William Troost Ekong scored the goal in the group stage game, and he scored the goal again in the final the other day. Franck Kessié equalised on the hour mark, scoring a corner to which the keeper, I think, misread, came about a bit too far, left it open, and Kessié scored the easiest goal of his life. So for some context, Ivory Coast had 14 of their 18 shots before scoring their first goal. This proved for me that Nigeria already had been the best defensive team in the competition prior to this, and it showed. 14 shots, didn't concede one. They looked very strong, Ivory Coast, and Nigeria really held them out. But for me, the story of the whole tournament is Sebastian Haller.
It's an unbelievable, and it's a heart-touching story, and it's amazing to see, because in these international tournaments, it's all passion.
Yeah,
all passion.
And for all those people that don't know, in July 2022, Sebastian Haller thought his career was as good as done. He was diagnosed with testicular cancer at the time. And to be honest with you, after a great delivery by Adingra, Haller scored, I think, the goal of his life. You know, he scored all these goals in the Champions League for Dortmund, for Ajax, for West Ham, you know, in the Premier League. But I think that one goal, considering the experience that he's been through, it meant the world to him. And even watching it from a fan's point of view, you know, you put yourself in his shoes. Imagine thinking your career is well and done.
Like the one thing you love doing and
taken away from
health issues. And that's what it is. And he's come back. He's come back
1 year after returning.
1 year.
Yeah.
Won the he's picked up the AFCON.
Yeah.
And done phenomenally.
Done phenomenally for the Borussia Dortmund as well at the end of the day. I think he was the top goal scorer in the Champions League last year, considering he had a Haaland in a competition in the form of his life. It was outdoing Haaland. But yeah, it was full of stories from the attacking prowess of the Ivory Coast to the defense that Nigeria held all tournament. You knew there was a narrative going into it. For me, 2 great African teams going head to head and ultimately delivering a belter of a game. Nigeria held on, had some great chances, but ultimately Ivory Coast were too good on home soil. And Mr. Didier Drogba was in the crowd at the time. And he was. They had to have like a resuscitator on there for a sec. He was scratching his bald head now and worrying every time a goal would miss or concede. You could see the worry in his face. But I think well deserved. I think Ivory Coast picked up their halfway through the tournament. And we're like, we do have a good squad, a strong squad, and deserved winners in the end.
Yeah, well, they've always had it. So kudos to them, and hopefully they can keep up, because they once were a nation that was unbelievable and kept it consistent, and they deserve to be. They produced great quality footballers and deserve to be one of the best in that continent.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like we said, credit to them.
Yeah,
hopefully our golden generation is upon them, and we see African teams start to dominate again in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Speaking of not dominating a game. The Wanderers versus Jets on the weekend, 3-3.
But 9 men.
9 men. Look, all jokes aside, I think considering the fact that there was 9 men on there, they showed that the quality of play the Wanderers do possess at the end of the day is a high quality.
Yeah.
The fact that they still managed to get that game back to 3-3 down a man, then Hendricks unfortunately got the red card late in the game.
Yeah.
Dangerous. I think it could have gone both ways, because if you see the collision, it kind of went one leg in this way, one leg out that way. It's just unfortunate that Hendricks' leg was the one that connected to the ankle. But they've begun to start getting the stars back on the field. Barolo and Hendricks coming back from injury. Simmons is expected to be back from suspension soon.
Next week? Yeah.
I think so. So we'll have a full strength side before we know it. And we play the Sydney FC, I think, in a few weeks. So you want to be back on form and at your best before that game, because if you don't
need it, we need it.
Yeah, if they don't go into that game with any sort of hunger, any sort of bite, the fans will. You can already tell there's frustration in the crowd. Go into those games. I've been to, I think, most of the Wanderers games this season at home.
Yeah,
I think all but a couple. There's clearly a frustration with the fans.
Yes.
And I can see that at the end of the day, you look at your Hendrickses, your Marcelos, your Barellas, your Simmons, these type of players in the teams, Brook at the moment, Lockie Brook.
Yes.
There's a hunger there, and there's an intent, and there's a clarity in the way they're playing. Okay. We need to see that from the whole team, because for me, at the end of the day, I can't blame Mark Rudan. I think he's dealing with what he's got very well. It's just right now, these guys have the ability. It's just, it just needs that kick up the arse.
That extra oomph.
Yeah, and it's there, and we're seeing it when it gets to points like when we're down 3-2. You saw that hunger. It was wave after wave after wave of attack. We just need to see that for 90 minutes. And again, I love the club, but it's getting frustrating to watch these games. Even on the podcast, I find myself saying the same thing every week. And with all due respect to those players, and again, I'm not going to put myself in those shoes. I'm not a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But if 5 or 6 of people in that team can, get some of these basics in terms of looking up, looking forward, and just playing with intent, they should follow. look at our captain, Marcelo.
Yeah, it's, I guess for him, because him scoring it or scoring the equalizer,
Yeah.
then, but as a captain and defender conceding 3, kind of, you'd feel a bit neutral about it.
Yeah, but you can only do so much by yourself as an individual, to be honest. Like, he's bringing, we spoke to him after the game, and he's bringing his leadership. He's played in the Champions League before. He's played at Lyon. He's brought his experience, and I can see it on the field. And even as a centre-back, the fact that he's playing with his eyes up, he's playing with his head up, he's always looking for it. We need the other players to follow, and no, I'm not taking a shot, any of the players or the club. It's just we need to kind of, get it together and start pushing forward, because I think it's make or break now. We're not far off the top 4, but we're also not far off dropping out of the 6. So it's make it or break it. You want to tell us a bit about our league leaders this season? I think it's time we show them a bit of love.
Yeah, Wellington. They've the best way to put it, they've only lost 2 games.
Yeah,
and for playing 17 games, won 9, drawn 6. Yeah, that's the math. The math adds up.
Draw 6, 2 losses.
Yeah. So, and funny enough, they've got a consistent 11 that's producing, and I think there's a few players, I think maybe 2 or 3 that have played every single minute of every game, including the keeper. But then you look at your attackers, and you got Costa Barbarouses and Bulgarian international Kraev, who is they've started every game and played most minutes.
Yeah.
So Wellington, they're on good form, and if they can keep on going, and I think if the squad can somehow stay fit,
they have every chance.
They have every chance.
Yeah.
But I just don't know enough about the depth in the squad to see how far they can go.
Yeah.
So that's the only problem I have with Wellington.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a good story. It's a story.
It's a good story across the sea, the Tasman Sea. They're marking their way through the A League. It should be called the NZ League.
The NZ League, mate. Change it if they win it. We're going to change the name to the NZ League. No more A League. NZ League.
NZ League. They've showed up, turned it up.
It's a good thing for New Zealand football, though.
They did need it. They did need it.
If they win this, it shows you're going to grow the game outside of this country. At the end of the day, we're bringing in a second Kiwi team next year as well.
Yes. So
if they go on and win the league this year, it shows you that, okay, if they're bringing in a second one, there's potential.
Yes.
There's potential to grow the game over there. And if we're not careful, and when I say we're, as in Australia, New Zealand might be able to be a growing ground for football. Be able to, look at the mistakes that Australia's made in terms of growing their football, growing their talents, growing the game from a ground roots point of view, and be able to take it themselves and go, okay, let's make New Zealand a footballing country, not just a rugby league or a rugby union country. You got the All Blacks there.
Yes.
So the foundation for, a successful sporting team is there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely there, and even they've picked up the same amount of experience from hosting big games from the Women's World Cup as well.
Yeah.
It was the games were played there, and they went well over there, and they've got the bigger stadiums as well. So they definitely can push to go far with that.
Before we move on, I just want to give shout out to Tiger Harper.
Oh yes.
This week, 18 years old, started in goal. I think I looked at some stats. I think he's about 1.84 meters. So at 18 years, not necessarily being the biggest keeper, he played well despite a mistake at the start where he passed it to the defender. It shows great mentality. He kept his head up. He played through the game, and ultimately played a big part in the fact why we didn't lose that game. So again, kudos to the Wanderers as well for giving this kid a chance.
Yeah, and he just got signed onto that scholarship contract.
Yeah,
the 12 or 18 months.
I think so. I think it's 12 possibly. I'm not too sure.
It's 12 or 18. I can't remember. The A League, they've got these weird contracts and stuff. So compared to global football, but no, it'd be great to see what he continues to do, and he's picked up his debut, so I'm intrigued to see how far he goes with it, and I'm not sure how much Thomas is out for.
Yeah.
because he did. It was just a midweek injury,
Yeah.
and so I'd be intrigued to see how Tiger goes, because I'm invested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am too. Like at the end of the day, you know, like I said, congrats to him. I think it's deserves another chance after that game.
Oh, definitely.
He dealt with a lot of you know, BS coming out of that game.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, that's your debut game and having to deal with a 3-3 draw, a chaotic draw throughout the, you know.
2 red cards for your team. Yeah, it's so
done well.
much.
He's a good kid, and it's like you can just tell that, you know, he's trained well, he's trained hard, and ultimately, hopefully, it pays off for him.
Hopefully.
Just want to point out one thing. I watched the Women's FA Cup last night, I believe. I think not last night. It was a couple nights ago. Watched the game.
Yeah.
Goal line technology not being there has come up again.
And we're back on this again.
So it was a very defensive game. I think both defenses played well. I think Leah Williamson on one side.
Yeah.
You know, she's starting to get back into the groove of everything. And then when you look at the other side, you had Kiara Keating in goal. Okay, she saved a lot of our shots on goal. Ours being Arsenal. But then when you've got, you know, your Alex Greenwood's on the other end, the goal scorer Alessandri.
Yep.
Hopefully I've said that correctly. Sorry, Alexandri. Apologies. She scored the goal. Sloppy goal. One mistake. Steph Catley came on, misread the tackle, ball went in the back of the net. Later in the game, we've taken a shot on goal. The keeper clearly has caught the ball behind the net. And you can tell Kiara Keating's facial expression
When she's realized.
she's just made a mistake. And she knows that clearly it's gone behind the net. Obviously, she's not going to turn around and go, sorry, the ball went in the back of the net, give them the goal. Because then her team goes from 1-0 up to 1-1.
Yes.
Okay. But seriously, if we want to grow this women's game in an FA Cup, you know, I'm pretty sure they're in the final 8 of the final 8 teams in the FA Cup.
It's an important game. Important game.
You're telling me you can't get goal line technology? Like, we're going back to what we were talking about last week. I can understand the A-League, suburban grounds. But we're talking the primary women's competition. You know, I know it's an FA Cup game, but still, get your shit together. Like, it's now cost the team a game. Like I said, we can grab our producer's camera at the back, stick him in the back of the net, and just have him there, like, trying to figure out whether it's gone behind or not. But, like,
100%. Or what you do is you get Ben Foster to get one of his GoPros in there and stick him in the corner, and obviously you're going for gold.
mate, at least be able to tell. And you could tell by her honest reaction then clearly.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous, mate. And look, Arsenal may have not necessarily put out, I think there were a couple players missing, but, you know, you had Mead, you had Ford, you had Cooney Cross, you had Pullover in midfield, Russo was up front, Williamson's back, McCabe played one hell of a game. Emily Fox is starting to, we've only signed her, I think, a month ago. She's starting to fit well in at right back.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just our keeper. Keeper was out, and D'Angelo filled in there. I think we need to be doing better. I think we had our chances, but ultimately that mistake, it's unacceptable. Yeah, I'll let that one out. Thank you.
Goal line technology. Thank you.
So, before we move on to a discussion, Bayern Leverkusen beat Bayern Munich 3-0 this week.
Yes, they did. And let me tell you,
Tell me more.
I am all for it. All for Bayern Leverkusen going as far as possible. All for it. And no, funny enough, right, that in I'm pretty sure everyone gets it. Liverpool legend, and who I think will manage us at the end or next year. But to see how Xabi Alonso managed Leverkusen to it, because the funny thing was they won 3-0.
Yeah.
39% possession.
Yeah.
In terms of shots, what was it? They had 14 shots.
Yeah.
And I think it was just 7 or 8 on target.
I think, yeah, they had 8 shots on target compared to Bayern Munich's 1.
Yep. Now, Bayern Munich, right? The powerhouse they are.
Yeah.
At the big German brute,
Yeah.
with only giving the other team 39%, so leaving them with what, 60? No, is it? Oh my.
61%.
Yeah, 61%. Yep. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
I'll let the accountant step in.
Yeah, please. Thanks. Yeah, so basically with that, one shot.
Yeah.
What the...
Nah, look, I'll break it down a bit. So they're currently playing a 3-4-2-1 formation.
Yep.
Xhaka and Palacios in midfield for a lot of this season. So I think having them in midfield has kind of allowed Xabi to play with that mobility and pressure needed in there. And we've seen last year with Xhaka, for example, as we've seen his Switzerland jersey up there, he's able to kind of play that role, quite literally box to box. You know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah.
He's got the ability to go forward with his passing, with his shooting. He can hit one from long. At the same time, defensively, he's able to cover a lot at the back. So when you're playing a back three, he's the perfect example of if your left mid's gone up too high, he's able to cut,
But see what happens when you take players out of Arsenal.
What do you mean? He showed us last season, mate. You've got the wrong London club. It's called Chelsea. But yeah, that 3-4-2-1. You've got Wirtz playing in the 2 behind the striker. For me, very similar to Havertz.
Yes.
Havertz isn't a 9. He's not a 10. He's a 9.5.
0.5.
But is playing freely. Xabi Alonso's already shown us that he's got a sense of knowing where to play and what to get out of these players and how to get it out of them. For me, it's very similar to Liverpool and Arsenal where their goals are shared.
Yeah.
Look who scored. You want to tell us who scored?
Oh, let me... Hang on. My love for these players is enormous. We've got Stanisic, Grimaldo, and Frimpong.
Good old Jeremy.
Oh.
Yeah. Similar to us. Look who scored this week. 2 from Saka, Gabriel, Saliba, Declan Rice, and left one out. No, Saka scored. Yeah, that's it. Saka scored 2. Declan Rice, and Trossard. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Our centre back scored.
So the goals are coming from everywhere, and I think it's very, and people may not know Xabi Alonso as a player, but it's very Xabi-esque.
Yeah. He's just, I think that's why he likes Xhaka so much.
Oh yes, because I think he can. Well,
the master of everything.
You want to call Xhaka a
Might need anger management, but master of everything.
That's big. That's big.
Nah, but I'm saying by master of everything, I mean he's able to fill in multiple kind of roles in a sense.
No, I do get what you mean.
Reliable, Mr. Reliable, similar to James Milner, but a bit more flair.
Don't you talk about Jimmy Milner like that, mate?
Look, I have to ask a question though.
Yeah.
Liverpool manager post Klopp. I'm gonna throw some names out here.
All right.
Okay. Obviously, Xabi Alonso.
Yep. That's the one that's been raving on in every single media outlet for the past however many weeks since announcement.
Since he announced it.
Yep.
Roberto De Zerbi.
Brighton manager. Yep.
Julian Nagelsmann.
Yeah, he's there, but I don't like it.
Steven Gerrard. Zinedine Zidane and Ruben Amorim, who is
sporting manager. Yeah,
and I think the other option there would be your assistant coach. But I think that team's leaving with Klopp, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they did announce Pep Lijnders leaving, so that's why I kind of brush him aside a bit. But then I don't know if that's a ploy to look. Honestly, I'd love for him to put his hand up and say, you know what, I know this squad. Let me cook.
I think we're going to summarize it in 2 questions. Who do you think it's going to be? Who do you want it to be? Who do you not want it to be? Actually, I'll add a 3rd question. Who do you think it's going to be? Who do you want it to be? Who do you not want it to be?
Can I give multiple choices?
No, I want one answer to each one. I'll give you mine.
All
I
right.
think it's going to be Xabi Alonso.
Yeah.
I want it to be Xabi Alonso because
Yes.
because I want to see him in the Prem. Who do I not want it to be? Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see Klopp's work undone in the space of 2 seasons.
Not that I think it'll be undone, but I think in terms of. So it's funny because you want to compare Gerrard and Xabi Alonso. They both played in that iconic 05 Champions League game.
Yeah.
And they both scored in it. They're pretty similar of players. They both left that mark in Liverpool. Of course, Gerrard being being there a lot longer and only being the sole person, the sole one club man at the time.
Yeah.
But his work at Rangers, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Work at Aston Villa at first wasn't too bad.
No.
But it's this stint that, it's what caused him to get sacked at Villa, that sort of run of form at the later stages.
Yeah.
But then how he's going at Al Ettifaq. Yeah.
Is a bit worrying.
It's a bit shit.
Yeah, look, they say it's the greatest players don't always make the greatest managers, and we've seen it long enough with Thierry Henry. Zidane's an exception.
See, Zidane's one of those names where it's not going to happen, but we
Love for it to happen.
You know what? Because he's just been so iconic. He's just been so iconic in
The Real Madrid realm
in the Real Madrid realm
Yeah.
of things, and beating Liverpool and the Champions League performances. He's been iconic, but honestly, I see it being Xabi Alonso.
Mm.
Only way I think he doesn't do it is if he doesn't win the Bundesliga and it's
Yeah.
close, and he's got a personal mission to try and get that Bundesliga. That's the only way I think it's not him.
Yeah.
But all the other options, Nagelsmann, not going to happen. Steven Gerrard, not going to happen. Zidane, he's not iconic Liverpool manager material.
Yeah, I think De Zerbi's a shout.
He's a shout, but I think he's the second choice.
Yeah, because I think you kind of get more of a Klopp end of things. And I saw a stat earlier this week where it showed where in terms of short passing and the way they play. So short passing combined with pressure. Leverkusen's way of playing football this year in terms of, I'm not going to call it the style, but the pressure points of the game are up there. It's a graph. So you go up there. The highest point is up here.
Yes.
Leverkusen were up here with Manchester City and PSG.
Yes.
Liverpool...
Are you talking about the Jamie... You've
Yes.
seen the Jamie Carragher video? Yes.
Liverpool were kind of centered. So it wasn't as much short passing. It shows that they play more direct, as Jamie Carragher said. Arsenal were just about them and Tottenham were thereabouts too.
Yeah.
So it shows that these two teams, they're a bit more versatile in that sense. I think that stat is a bit misleading because if you look at the way Xabi's team plays, very similar to kind of that Klopp, almost Mikel-esque, kind of somewhere in between Pep and Klopp.
Yeah, it's in that medium of things. So basically, we want to. He's imprint. They're both Zerbi and Alonso. They're imprinting their
style of play. They're kind of they're flexing right now with what they've got.
Yes.
They're trying to little brother's trying to show big brother that look, I can play now.
Yeah, I 100%.
Yeah.
But no, to answer your question, it's going to be those two. But obviously, one with the preference, Xabi Alonso being preference. Xabi Alonso, please, I promise, please.
He will sell his house for you. No?
Everything. Everything. But no. So basically, it's going to be down to those two for me anyway.
I need a final choice for you.
Yeah.
Who is going to come in and coach Liverpool start of the season 2024-25?
Well, like we've said, we've been talking about it, and I think with connections to everything, it will be Xabi Alonso.
Yep.
I don't see it any other way. And the way this all talk, the whole rumor mill is happening.
Yeah.
And the way what conversations are going on, what everyone's talking about, it's the same thing as Klopp. It's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. And you get that vibe.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah. No. I just want to say thank you for having me on. But
I have to say, I'll say thank you as well for coming on.
No problem at all. No, I did miss Tom. No, I haven't replaced him. I'm just the shittier version. But no, it's all right.
He'll be back next week. We'll leave it there. Thank you to the Bella Vista Hotel. Thank you to New Era Vision as well. Thank you to you, Martin, for coming on this week.
No, thank you.
Don't forget to like, to subscribe. Martin, have you liked and subscribed?
I have, but not this video because I'm here.
Oh, you're here. You haven't liked that one yet?
Yeah.
All right, go home and like it.
All right, relax. Settle down.
And Instagram, TikTok, UBF podcast. Get onto that one. But yeah, I've been Abs.
And I've been Thomas. No, I've been Martin. No, but thank you guys.
Ciao.
Take care. Bye.